For most people, the Vietnam War ended in 1975. For one father and his baby son, it never ended at all. In 2013, villagers in central Vietnam kept seeing something strange. Deep in the jungle, two half-naked men. Clothes made from tree bark. The moment anyone came close, they slipped between the trees and vanished. People started calling them forest men. One day, villagers finally managed to surround their hideout. A rough treehouse, high above the ground. When the men inside stepped out, everyone went silent. In front of them stood an old man in a bark loincloth, and a powerful, middle-aged man beside him. Only later did the numbers sink in. The father was about 82 years old. The son was about 41. The father still believed the war was going on. The son had spent his entire life hiding from a war that had ended decades ago. And when they finally left the jungle, the biggest shock of their lives wasn't the forest. It was the modern world. Stay till the end, because when this father finally came back, his body left the jungle, but his mind never really did. This is the true story of
Hồ Văn Thanh,
his son.
Hồ Văn Lang.
To understand why a man would run into the jungle and never come back, we have to go back to 1972. Central Vietnam,
Quang An Gai
province. This wasn't peaceful countryside, it was a war zone. Bombers flew overhead. Artillery shook the hills. Helicopters thundered over tiny villages where farmers tried to live normal lives. One of those villagers was
Hồ Văn Thanh.
He lived in a small mountain hamlet called Tra Kim, with a wife, children, a simple house, and a poor but steady routine. Wake up, work the fields, talk with neighbors, sleep, repeat. Then the war stopped being something far away. Like many men in his area, Thanh was pulled into the fight on the North Vietnamese side. He knew the jungle, so he fought in the hills near his own village. By day, he was a soldier. Whenever it was safe, he came home and tried to be a father. He was balancing two lives, the world of guns and the world of his family. In 1972, that balance was destroyed in a single day. Imagine this. You leave home, expecting to return like you always do. But today the planes come. An airstrike hits near Than's village. Explosions tear through houses and fields. Splinters of wood, hot metal, and fire slice through everything. Grass roofs and thin walls are nothing. When the noise finally dies, Than walks through the ruins of his home. His mother is dead. Two of his children are dead. In his arms there is only one small, living child left. A baby boy, barely 1 or 2 years old. His name is
Hồ Văn Thanh.
In that moment, one thing becomes clear in Than's mind. The outside world means death. The only possible safety is the forest. He grabs whatever he can carry, cradles his baby, and runs into the jungle. Not for a few days. Not until things calm down. He is about to vanish for 40 years. The jungle he runs into is thick and unforgiving. Snakes under the leaves. Monsoon rain that can fall for days and then vanish, leaving the air heavy and wet. It can kill you. But if you know what you're doing, it can also keep you alive. Than's first goal is simple. Keep himself and his son breathing. He goes deep, away from any clear path. Away from places soldiers usually move. Then he starts to build. He cuts wood. Lashes branches together with vines. Slowly, he creates a shelter high off the ground. A small open hut about 5 meters up in a tree, thatched with leaves. A hidden tree house. Up there's more airflow. Fewer animals. And if someone comes, they can see first and hide. Their clothes rot quickly in the wet heat. Than strips bark from trees, softens it, and turns it into makeshift loincloths. He begins teaching his son the rules of their new world. How to find clean water. How to recognize edible plants. How to set simple traps for rats and small animals. How to start a fire and keep the smoke low and hidden. And one rule above all. If you hear people, you hide. The last time Than trusted the world outside the forest. Bombs took most of his family. So he builds his new life around one belief. The jungle is safety. Everything else is a threat. For baby Lang, there is no before. No memory of a village or crowds. For him, this is the world. If stories like this kind of raw, real survival interest you, stick around till the end, and consider subscribing so you don't miss the other true stories we've got coming. But for now, back to the jungle. While father and son are learning how to live in the trees, the war outside finally ends. Saigon falls. The last helicopters leave the American embassy. Flags change, governments change. But none of that reaches the treehouse. Than has no radio. No newspapers. No one climbs the mountain to tell a scared man in hiding, "It's over, you can come home." Their days are measured in other sounds. Wind in the leaves. Animal calls. The crack of a distant branch that means danger. The rest of the country starts moving forward. That little hut in the trees stays stuck in 1972. Years pass. They clear tiny patches of forest and plant corn and cassava. They forage for fruits and roots. They fish in streams. They find buried scraps of war metal in the ground. Shell fragments, bits of aluminum. Than hammers them into knives, pots, and simple tools. Even their language shrinks with their world. Than had once spoken his minority language and some Vietnamese. Decades with almost no one else to talk to narrow his words down to what they need to survive. Lang knows names for plants, animals, and seasons. But he has no words for city, school, television, or country. To him, there is no idea of Vietnam as a nation. There is just jungle, food, danger, and his father. From time to time, other people catch a glimpse of them. A hunter far from home. A logger deep in the trees. Someone sees a thin man in a bark loincloth. Watches him disappear the instant he realizes he's being watched. People stumble on small plots of corn in strange places. They see smoke where no village should be. Stories spread. Wild men of the forest. Jungle ghosts. Some believe them. Some don't. The country has bigger problems than chasing shadows in the hills. Time keeps moving outside. New roads, motorbikes, and electric lights slowly reach villages in the mountains. For Than and Lang, almost nothing changes. They stay hidden in the same maze of hills and ravines above Tay Tra. Back in Tra Kim, Than's relatives grow older. His brother,
Ho Van Tri,
grows up with a broken story. An uncle who went to war. A bombing. A rumor that he ran into the jungle with his baby son. No grave. No body. Just questions. Decades later, Tri starts hearing clearer stories about the forest men. 2 men. One old. One around 40. Living in a hut deep in the jungle, near where his family used to live. He does the math. If he's wrong, it's just another rumor. If he's right, someone his family buried in their minds might still be alive. And if they are alive, there's a darker question. After 40 years alone in the jungle, what have they become? In 2013, Tri decides he needs to know. He doesn't go alone. He gathers a few locals who know the hills. Men who can read the forest like a map. They move carefully. They look for tiny signs. A cut branch. A faint trail. A footprint softened by rain. Day after day, they push deeper than most villagers ever go. Then one day they see it. High in a tree, half hidden by leaves, is a small hut. A platform of branches and poles, thatched with leaves. Underneath it, black circles where many fires have burned. Rough tools. Metal pots hammered from scraps. Racks where food has been dried. They haven't just found a random shelter. They found evidence of a whole secret life. 2 figures appear. The older man is thin, with long white hair and beard. His skin is dark and tough from sun and rain. He wears only a strip of bark cloth. The younger man is strong and muscular. His body shaped by climbing, cutting wood, hauling water. He also wears a bark loincloth. His movements are wary, ready to run. The search party calls out. Words at first don't line up. The old man's speech is heavy with dialect and decades of isolation. But slowly, familiar names surface. The village. Family names. Pieces begin to fit. The old man is
Hồ Văn Thanh.
the younger man is his son. The uncle and baby that everyone assumed were dead have been living in the jungle for 40 years. Finding them was one thing. Bringing them back will be another. They know they can't just grab them and drag them out. That would only prove all of Than's worst fears about the outside world. So they come back. Again and again. They talk slowly. They bring food. They try to rebuild trust that broke in a bombing decades earlier. Try tells his uncle, "The war is over. It's been over for a long time. Your village still exists. Your family is here. No one is hunting you." For a man whose last clear memory of the outside world is his home in ruins and his children dead. These words fight against 40 years of fear. Maybe it's age. Maybe it's exhaustion. Maybe it's his nephew's persistence. At last, Than and Lang agree to leave their treehouse. They walk away from their small fields and tools and follow the villagers back toward Trakim. 40 years after he ran into the jungle with a baby in his arms. He comes home with a grown son walking beside him. If you were in his place, would you trust the world again or go straight back to the forest? Tell me in the comments what part of this story shocks you the most. And now, let's see what actually happened to them outside the jungle. The return is not a simple happy ending. It's confusing, loud, overwhelming. Photos show Lang sitting stiffly on a bed in a simple house. His eyes wide. His shoulders tense, as if he's ready to run. Beside him, Than looks small and worn out. His face is lined by age and by a lifetime of survival. They're taken to a clinic, then to a bigger hospital. Doctors examine them. They expect disaster. But for two men who lived 40 years with no modern medicine, their bodies are in better shape than anyone expected. The real shock is not on any scan. It's how they react to the world around them. Than is in his 80s. For him, the jungle is the only thing that makes sense. Everything outside it feels wrong. Now he's in a world of electric lights, machines, and strangers asking questions. The same outside world he ran from is suddenly all around him. He has carried small pieces of his old life for decades. Scraps of cloth, old gear. Proof that his village days were real. Now he's back in that world. But it doesn't feel like home. For Lang, the shock is different. He has never really seen cars, crowded streets, or screens. Imagine this. You've grown up with trees, rain, and one other human voice. Then someone starts a motorbike in front of you. A metal machine roars and moves. They turn on a television. Bright moving images. Voices coming out of a box. Everyone else is bored of it. For you, it looks like magic. Lang barely speaks Vietnamese. His main language is the private speech he used with his father. He doesn't understand money. He doesn't understand why people close doors. Why crowds stare. Why everyone wants to take his picture. Relatives describe him as gentle and very shy. He often prefers to sit outside, close to plants and open air, instead of inside closed rooms. While he's trying to adjust, their story explodes in the media. Newspapers and TV shows call him Vietnam's real-life Tarzan. Journalists and curious visitors come to see the jungle men for themselves. Some people treat their jungle life like a fantasy of pure freedom. Others see them as helpless and primitive. For Lang, in his early 40s, there's still time to build a different kind of life. Local authorities help him with a small house and a piece of land. He slowly learns more Vietnamese. He starts to understand how money, work, and village rules function. His body and instincts are from another world. but he adapts enough to move between jungle memories and village reality. Later reports say he marries. He has a child. A new generation grows up with schools, phones, and roads. And a father who once slept in a treehouse and wore bark. For Than, the story goes another way. He is old. He never fully trusts this new world. Again and again, he tries to escape back to the forest. He slips away from relatives, heading toward the mountains, toward the place that, in his mind, saved his last living child. Each time, family members find him and bring him back. They know he wouldn't survive alone in the jungle anymore. In 2017, a few years after returning,
Hồ Văn Thanh
dies. This time, he is buried in his village, among his people. Not alone under the trees. But many who knew him say, a part of him never really left the jungle. Today, tourists sometimes pass through Qu Letter 1E3 and Giangai and ask about the jungle father and son. They hear the short version of the story. They buy a drink. They move on. For H Letter 183 Van Lang, there is no easy moving on. He now walks on paved roads. But his feet remember mud, roots, and wet leaves. At night, when the village is quiet, maybe his ears still search for the sounds he grew up with. Insects rain on leaves. His father breathing nearby in the dark. And somewhere, in the way his hands still handle wood and fire. The jungle is still there. If you're still here, tap the like button so this true story can reach more people. Subscribe if you want more real survival stories from jungles, deserts, oceans, and war zones.